Andrew McCART, IFL TV, in association with MTK Global. I'm here in Newcastle. You look obviously tanned today, Eddie.
Well, I was alright yesterday. I had a little afternoon yesterday in the garden, which was nice. Just got back from Mexico, where there was no sun, although it was about 120 degrees. So, yeah, straight up to Newcastle this morning, which was painful this morning. But having been here with always the turnout and how excited people are, and went on pre-sale yesterday, did like a record pre-sale for Newcastle. All the fighters going mad for tickets. So I'm really excited about this, Bill. So I wanted to come here, and people say to me, why don't you just send Frank? Or they say, because I fucking love it. That's what,
I said to Mike Goodall, he's the hardest working man in boxing, but you might be a close second.
Yeah. Well, I just love it, and I love this show, and I love Newcastle, and I love the arena, and I love the atmosphere. So you can't have it. You can't just sort of turn up for the event and walk in and say, yes, here we go, sold out. Yeah, exactly. We've got to graft it. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
We'll talk about the show then. Lewis Ritz against Robbie Davies Jr. Like me, you like a little bit needle between two fighters. So
it's great. You know what makes me laugh though? It's like you've got two guys who are very, very tough men, and they talk about an argument they had on Twitter. Have you noticed? It always says, well, he said this on Twitter, and basically one of the things, and people saying about who was offered who to fight. I'll tell you what happened. We spoke to Robbie Davies' team about the fight for Liverpool, but Robbie Davies was nowhere near going to be making 10 stone. He wasn't fit. It was only 6 or 7 weeks' notice, and his team, quite rightfully, Neil Marshall, had said, "No, look, he'll have an 8-rounder in Liverpool, but he's not going to be ready for that kind of fight." That wouldn't have even gone back to Robbie, because their job is to protect their fighter physically. To say you wouldn't be ready for that fight, so. It's like, I never got offered that fight. So no, this was discussed, but you weren't. It wasn't even that fight. It was you weren't ready for a 10-round, 10-stone fight, 12-round, 10-stone fight. So, but Robbie Davies is showing what he's made of, and obviously he ain't scared of the fight. He's coming to Newcastle to do the fight. I mean, that sometimes winning the fight in Newcastle would propel him so much further than winning the fight in Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? If he came here not against the odds, but against the noise. It's a major victory. This fight will be a world title eliminator. Both guys looking for a shot at the world title at 140. But domestically, a fight that's getting everybody excited. And it's been great seeing a response. It's actually a show where I'm getting loads of, bit of praise for it.
Because everyone loves you up here.
Yeah, and Liverpool. They love me in Liverpool. But it's more about the digital world, the social world, of people going, fuck, that's a good fight. And obviously when we added Cheeseman against Fitzgerald, it was like, fuck, this is a serious show. And there's a lot more to come on this card as well. So I really believe that this is going to be one of our top shows that we've done. Especially
it's like the New York show and the Devin Haney one. Them 4 main fights that you announced straight away.
The Devin Haney card is brilliant. Devin Haney against Abdullayev is such a good fight. Michael Hunter against Sergey Kuzman is a great fight. Danny Roman against Akhmadaliev, our Uzbek Olympian, brilliant fight. Hardy against Serrano, great fight. So, yeah, we're trying. We're trying, and we're getting there. We had a great show in Mexico on Saturday, and this, with those 2 fights plus what else will come, it's good.
Dave Allen's been added to the bill, but obviously the 2 fights you mentioned, Fitzgerald, Cheeseman, and obviously Ritson and Rob Davies Jr. Is this more pressure on you to bring these cars back to the UK? Because obviously UK fight fans have been, I don't know if you've seen it, they've been on at you to bring the cars back.
We have to improve, and it's not. There is a transitional period right now in British boxing where the bigger names of the past are retiring, or they're fading away, or they're looking for monster paydays that just aren't out there, right? So there is pressure on us to deliver. We've done a great job globally. Have we produced weaker shows in the UK? Yeah, but only compared to the last 12 months, because we went on a hot spell that just went crazy. We made Haybellew 1, Haybellew 2, Bellew Usyk, Joshua Povetkin, Joshua Parker. Like, it was just, there was this spell, sort of a year, 18-month spell where it was red hot. Kell Brook against Errol Spence, like just non-stop. That slowed down because people retired, those fights weren't there anymore, the market's gone so crazy where you can get $1 million for a run out in America, as a world champ against a nobody, and if you're a British world champion, you want that here. And it's not there if you don't sell tickets and you're not a draw. So it's getting the balance right of trying to build a stable of fighters, trying to deliver for those fighters. I don't want to do weaker shows in the UK, but subject to you doing your absolute conkers, what is the answer? Investing, which we're having to do, but also boxing those fighters in America where those funds and that money is available. It's not rocket science. Do you know what I mean?
I understand.
The fighter comes to you, this is how much I want for a defence of my world title or for my fight. Well, we can't deliver you that in the UK. Well, I'll go and fight in America then. All right, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not an agenda. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's just what you're dealing with. So it's been difficult because the market rate has gone up. The revenue from broadcasters and from the gate hasn't. It's just stayed constant, which is still.
This is what people don't see.
It's basic maths. You know, if I could do bigger fights in the UK, I would. But this is where I'm from. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get any stick for doing a weekly show. I want to give you the biggest fights possible.
Yeah.
Sometimes things work well, they gel together, fighters want fights, it's the right timing, and things happen. This is a classic example of that. Two guys who are not yet superstars, but are, decent boxing names in the UK, who go, do you know what? I want to try and slot in to the names that have retired or have moved out, because that's there for the taking right now. But there's a massive opportunity for those guys. That might be the winner of this fight, might be Callum Smith, might be Billy Joe Saunders, might be Joshua Boazzi, might be Anthony Yarde. A chance to slot into the Bellews and the De Gales and the Groves.
There's an opening now, isn't
there is. Mm-hmm. There's a chance to become the next pay-per-view star in the UK. And I know fans, pay-per-view again. That's what these fighters want to be. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
They're not saying, no, I just want to make a nice living on a Saturday night, fight night. They go, no, I want to be pay-per-view in the UK. I want to sell out arenas. Now, when I had the conversation with Billy Joe says, first time he's ever said it, I come to your shows and I think, I want to be part of that. I want, and that's what they want, all these fighters. So it's really interesting to see who will make that leap. Sometimes you can go on pay-per-view and do 200,000 buys. How do you do 5, 6, 7? They're the big stars that can do that. Not many have done that consistently, outside of sort of big one-off fights, domestic fights. So there is a big opportunity right now. And I think these kind of guys are fighting. Ritson and Davies, Ritson saying, what? If I knock out Robbie Davies Jr. in my backyard in front of 10,000, place goes nuts. I've got a big future there. Mm-hmm. Maybe another fight. I could bring a world title fight to St James's Park. This is achievable, but you've got to beat Robbie Davies. Robbie Davies is going, if I go to there, out of my backyard, knock out him, I want to go and fight Maurice Hooker or Jose Ramirez. Maybe I'll get a big fight in America. Yeah, but whatever. But these are what these guys are fighting for. Cheeseman, Fitzgerald, the same. Mm-hmm. Now that fight comes up, gets ordered by the board. Both guys, I fancy that. They both think they're going to win. So it's a lot easier to make the fight when both guys think they're going to win. So yeah, good card. A lot happening. We've got a November card being announced from Manchester soon, which is going to be a big World Championship card. Saturday night fight night as well. So we're trying. We're getting there.
You were out in Mexico last Saturday.
Yeah.
How was that? And
brilliant, amazing.
You going back?
12,000 people there. We broke the record in Hermosillo, the attendance record at the arena. People were in the arena at 3:30, packed. They just love it. They love it. They know the fighters. Liam Smith was walking around like a household name. Obviously, he's boxed Canelo and Munguia, so they all know who he is. John O'Carroll, Hergovich, Giasov was brilliant. Estrada was great. We'll make Estrada against Yafai now. Unification fight. It's going to be a big fight. Just loved it. Loved every minute of it. Sort of really gives you that passion, if you like, for boxing when you're there, because they're real
Mexican fans. You said that,
but they're very similar to British fans. They get in the arena early. They know. Look at Lomachenko, Campbell this week. You can't get a ticket for love nor money, because British fight fans know this is a one-off. You're never going to see this again. This is a pound-for-pound great coming to the UK, and they respect that. Wait till you see York Hall tomorrow night. For the workout, it's going to be rammed. People climbing in trying to see Lomachenko. Real fight fans.
I won't talk about Lomachenko because I think Umar Kukin's going to get that covered this week, but I want to get your thoughts on Anthony Yarde Kovalev the weekend. You were out in Mexico, so I don't know how much of the fight you saw the fight.
Yeah, I was at a meeting. I came in and everyone was watching ESPN Plus in the lobby, and then I ended up watching the highlights an hour later or something like that. I thought he did really well. So I felt a bit sad, really, of the negativity towards Yarde and Tunde. Do you know what I mean? I know they've sort of set themselves up for that if they lose, but we tend to really have a knack, don't we, of sort of kicking people. Yeah, I don't really understand it. Give the guy some praise. He hasn't been prepared for a fight or an opportunity like that. The matchmaking hasn't been good enough. Where, he was 2 fights away, the correct fights, from winning that fight. Do you understand what I mean? And actually, he might have only been 10 seconds away from winning that fight. But he didn't win many rounds. But he had a moment where he could have possibly won. Because the matchmaking's been bad, he's never had that step. and Boatsi's in the same boat at the moment, right? Where Boatsi's boxing right now is where Yarde was boxing. You don't go from there into Kovalev.
You wouldn't put Boatsi
right?
and Kovalev at this stage?
Actually, having seen that, now I would.
Yeah, you would
because
now.
I believe he beats him. But, you know, again, that's a gamble.
Yeah.
Like Yarde and Tunde wouldn't have taken that fight. They didn't want that fight. The money was too good to turn down. That's the reality of the situation. But if he would have boxed a Jose Burton or a Buglioni a couple of fights ago or a Callum Johnson, I believe he would have been better prepared for what happened when it all started coming on top, or when, you know.
Yeah.
But let's have it right. He's never boxed anyone. He's not got any amateur experience, and he's gone out to Russia. He's done a bloody great job. He nearly won. I mean, Buddy McCART said to him in the corner, "If you don't show me something, I'm going to pull you out of the fight." So, you know, and the ending was very, you know, reminded me of Michael Watson against Nigel Benn, where it was just a nothing jab, but it was just exhaustion. You know, I hope it didn't take too much out of him physically, that fight. Sometimes when you get stopped like that in a fight like that, sometimes it can take a big part of you. But he's young, he's fresh, he'll come again, and he's going to be a big star. You know, he's going to come out, he's going to be on big money for the comeback fight. I think he got a lot of respect from the British public, even though people have had a dig. And again, with Nutty Tunde, I think they've got to change so much in the camp, and you just can't be stubborn enough to think that not sparring or doing something a certain way. I mean, you know, the instructions to Yarde were non-existent, other than the lines are in the camp, in the corner. Like, that's not good enough. But what Tunde has done is taken a fighter with no amateur experience to a world championship shot, and actually not nearly win, but close. You know, nearly winning. So you've got to give him a little bit of credit, but they've got to change a lot. It's not my business, but that's my opinion as a fan, and I think give him the credit and the respect. Yeah, we know it was a fortune in money that he made, but he still went out there, done it, and, you know, his stock rose off the back of it.
Definitely. Well, probably the biggest fight to come this year is Saudi Arabia in December.
Yes.
Andy Ruiz has actually came out and confirmed Saudi Arabia is the venue. Why was all this? Was it mind games saying that it's not going to be in Saudi Arabia?
Bit of mind games, a little bit of negotiation, probably people in his ear. You know, the only disappointing thing about what happened was we kept his team in the loop about where it was going to be, and we gave him effectively the choice of UK or Saudi, and they wanted Saudi. So when we announced it, it was like, oh, we're not going to Saudi. It's like, that wasn't coming from them, that was coming from Andy Ruiz.
Oh, okay.
So we had to make sure he was happy. Obviously we had a contract that we were prepared to enforce. There was a few things that we wanted him to do commercially in Saudi as part of the deal, so he was compensated extra for that as well. And there was stuff about security, the commission, drug testing. Once all that was taken care of, you know, and I think he knew that he wasn't able to pull a fast one or make a move, he said, okay, let's do it. And now you are about to see one of the biggest heavyweight fights of all time. The world will stop to watch this fight. And I know people think I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, this is another thriller in Manila. This is another rumble in the jungle in an obscure place where the whole world will be watching, on the back of the sand dunes in Saudi Arabia. Press conference next week. Saudi Arabia, New York, London. Trust me when I say this is one of the biggest heavyweight events of all time.
Well, actually, there's some photos of Anthony Joshua looking a little bit slimmer. Can you confirm
Yeah, I
that?
don't
Is that,
think so.
is that
I mean,
something?
look, you know, sometimes you have a photo of yourself, don't you? And you think,
Yeah.
God, look at the
I
size,
take
look at the
loads of
state of me. No, but you know, you think, oh, and then
Yeah, I've been there, yeah,
and then you
yeah.
have one 2 days later and you go, do you know what? Don't look too bad there. I don't think he's trying to take any bulk off. I just don't think he's been particularly training. So he's not been doing his weights. He's not been doing his sprints. He's not been sparring. He's been resting mainly, and he's been working on drills. So now he's back in training. Press conferences next week. It's going to be a bit of a grueling few days of flying, and then it's full camp for December 7th.
I've got to ask, we were out in Dallas with the news with Dillian Whyte broke a few weeks back. Is there any further developments, reference to B sample and whatnot for Dillian
one
Whyte?
thing I'll say about the B sample, and the answer is I don't know. I won't get, like, the B sample's the B sample 99.9% of the time. Whatever was in the A sample is in the B sample. What you don't know is what was the findings of even the A sample until that comes out. What I will tell you is that, again, boring everyone, he was cleared to fight. But if he was cheating, or if he had a substance in him that was performance enhancing or levels of this stuff, he would not have been able to fight. UCAD wouldn't have chanced it. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not sure, mate. Go on, we'll have a fight and we'll see how we get on. He was cleared. So I believe it's like October is the final, I don't even know, like hearing, whatever, where there'll be a full statement from everybody, and hopefully by then you'll get enough information to go, okay, fair enough, hands up, and he gets on with his career. If he doesn't, you'll be able to go the other way and say, well, whoa, up in arms. But where we're at the moment is, he was cleared by the commission, and trust me, if they had any thoughts of that he wasn't fit to fight, or there was something in his system that shouldn't have been in his system and it was going to have an effect in the fight, or any kind of effect in the fight, he wouldn't have been able to fight. So every time I tweet now, some people go, what's a B sample? It's like, no, I'm not saying that's irrelevant, but in the bigger picture, when it all comes out, that won't be, and I don't know the answer to that, but I'm not even, I just think that there's a bigger picture to a B sample and A sample. A B sample will historically be exactly the same as an A sample.
I know you're pressed for time, Box Social behind as well, but 2 rapid questions in. Last week, Gennady Golovkin, partnership with yourselves, you happy? Really happy. I mean, I work for DAZN, right? So my main priority is to make sure that the best fighters are on DAZN, and the best fights are on DAZN, and of course they're with Matchroom. When Gennady came to DAZN, I ran all those meetings, I brought in John Skipper, and I sort of left them to it to go off, and I said to Gennady, I would love to work with you. It didn't manifest in time, but we've stayed close. And I sort of, with Gennady, I don't want to do a hard pitch. Like, the guy's a legend. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, Gennady, you got to sign with me, blah, blah. But over time, we've kept talking. He's seen what we're doing, and we've shown him the route that we think could be done. Obviously, we're working closely with DAZN as well. Triple G Promotions, still, of course, in existence. Now working with Matchroom, me with a responsibility to help guide the events and to help guide his career. And that's an honour. Like, I'm quite chuffed by that. Like, it means a lot to me, where I won't let him down, because that's a big responsibility. He could have gone with anyone, like Heyman, Aram, but he chose us. So in America, that's a major, major win for us. And in terms of our stable, that's huge, because it helps us open up the other fights with Billy Joe, or with Andrade, or Jacobs rematch, or Callum Smith, or etc., etc. So we want to, but we've got to make those fights. And I think some people, you talk about them, it's like, well, will I get them? It's like Gennady, will I get the Canelo fight? Or Callum, will I get the Canelo fight? Or Andrade, will I get either of them? It's like, so it's up to us, and more importantly, DAZN, to say, no, you're fighting him and you're fighting him, but of course the money's got to be right for everyone. You mentioned Callum Smith there. I've seen reports this morning, I don't know how true they are, that Joe Gallagher's come out and said that they're looking at other rival promoters. Yeah, it's another Joe Gallagher beauty. Where I think Callum's in a position where we have an option on his next bout. I think the World Boxing Super Series was so good and so bad for him. It's so good because he came out with a load of money and a belt, so bad that he came out with his profile affected in terms of where it should have been. The massive fights are out there for Callum on DAZN, but we've got to deliver it. Just basically what I just said. He's in a bit of a, the next one is, I would like him to fight in Liverpool in a homecoming fight. Did you mention Anfield this morning? Or? That's the plan for next May. We're talking to Liverpool, and that's the plan to go and do that. But again, against who? So I think what Joe's trying to do is put the pressure on and say, that fight's there. If they want that fight, we can make that fight now, and that may be the fight for Anfield, But I think what Joe's trying to do is put the pressure on and say, okay, we understand we're boxing Liverpool, but who are you going to deliver after that? And I have to go out and try and deliver those fights. If not, he may get a big offer to go and fight somewhere else. He will never make the money that he could make for those mega fights on DAZN, but he's got to get them. Do you know what I mean? You can't just lie to a fighter and say, I'll get you, Canelo, will you though? So I've got to actually go out and show what can be delivered and make that part of a longer plan. Well, I won't keep you much longer. I know you've got to train back to London for a huge fight. Cheers, mate. Boxing Social behind me as well. Nice so, cheers, Eddie. Thank you very much.